the perpendicular bisector of a segment. Let's review. This is a line. This is a semi-line. And this is a segment. Again, what is a line? So, this is a line. And a line, it has no beginning point and no ending point. As you can see, in this line we have arrow from this side and arrow from this side because we don't have a beginning and ending. Now, semi-line. In a semi-line, what do we have? We have a beginning point but no ending point. So over here, we know that this semi-line starts here. This is the beginning, but we don't know its end. It's an arrow. As you can see, we put an arrow at the end. We don't know where this semi-line ends. Okay, so we know that it begins from here, but we don't know where does this line end. Now segment, as you can see, a segment has a beginning point and an ending point. So we know that this is the point where this segment begins and this ends. So if this is 4 centimeters in length, this is the beginning of it and this is the ending of it. It has a beginning point and ending point. Let's review midpoint. So, what is a midpoint? Midpoint, it is the middle point of a segment. So, in the middle of the segment, we can find a midpoint. So, we're continuing with midpoint. So, if we have the segment AC, okay, this is segment AC. And B is the midpoint of it. So if AC is equal to 10 centimeter, where is the midpoint? Where is the halfway? So the halfway is 5 centimeters. Okay, so AB, it's equal to 5 centimeters, and it's also equal to BC, which is also equal to 5 centimeters. So again, AB is equal to BC, it's equal to 5 centimeters. Now, A, we call it an extremity, and C, we're going to call it an extremity. What do you mean by extremity? Extremity means the ending point. So this is an end point, and this is an end point. We call them extremities. So AC is equal to 10 centimeters. Then B is halfway between the extremities A and C. Again, what are the extremities? They are the end points. We call them extremities. So where is B located? B is located on distance of 5 centimeters. Why 5 centimeters? Because it's the midpoint. It's halfway. It's in the middle. Continuing with midpoint. So if we have this segment, let's see, what is the midpoint over here? What is the midpoint? The midpoint is M. What are the extremities? What are the extremities? The extremities are A and B. Okay, if AB is equal to 15 centimeters, where is the midpoint M located? Again, if AB is equal to 15 centimeters, where is the midpoint M located? It's located at 7.5 centimeters. Again, so if AB equals to 15 centimeters, then M is halfway between, it's in the middle. Between what? Between the extremities. We said, what's the meaning of the extremities? It means end. Okay, so what are the extremities over here? They are A and B. So M is located on distance of 7.5 centimeters. Now let's review perpendicular. So two perpendicular lines, what do they form? They form a right angle. So it's two lines meeting at a right angle. So whenever you see two lines meeting at a right angle forming a 90 degrees, we call them perpendicular lines. Now let's start with the lesson, which is the perpendicular bisector of a segment. So what is the perpendicular bisector of a segment? What is a perpendicular bisector of a segment? So it is a line cutting a segment at the midpoint and perpendicular to it. So we said earlier, we reviewed midpoint, which is point in the middle of a segment, and perpendicular. So a perpendicular bisector is having a midpoint and perpendicular. Now this is a perpendicular bisector. As you can see over here, this is a perpendicular bisector. P is the midpoint of the segment AB, and this perpendicular bisector is forming a right angle on P. So this is a perpendicular bisector of the segment AB. What are the extremities of AB? They are points A and points B. Where is the midpoint? The midpoint is P. Where is the right angle? The right angle is over here. So this is the perpendicular bisector. Which one is the perpendicular bisector of the segment? So this line D is the perpendicular bisector of the segment. What is the segment? The segment is AB. So this is line D and this is the segment AB. Let's see, C is what? C is the midpoint of AB. What are the extremities of the segment AB? The extremities are point A and point B. What is the midpoint? The midpoint is C. So again, C is the midpoint of segment AB. C is the midpoint. C is the midpoint of segment AB. So C is the midpoint of segment AB. What does that mean? That AC it's equal to CB. What else? D is perpendicular to AB. So line D, this line D is perpendicular to AB. What do you mean by perpendicular? Perpendicular means that it forms a right angle. So let's continue discovering the perpendicular bisector. If we put the point M on the perpendicular bisector D, so M is a point on this perpendicular on this line D. Now if we join the points AM and join the points BM, we can notice that M is at an equal distance from A and B. Again, so if we join the points BM and join the points AM, you can notice that this is equal to this. So look what we say. We say M is at an equal distance from the extremities A and B. Again, M, which is point over here on the perpendicular bisector, is at an equal distance. So the distance between M and the extremity A is the same distance as from M and the extremity B. Again, we say M is equidistant. The word equidistant means at an equal distance. So M, this is point M, is equidistant, is at an equal distance from the extremities, the endpoints of the segment. So from the extremities A and B. So this means AM it's equal to BM. Again, if we have from this side, the point N, again N is on the line, on the perpendicular bisector D. Okay, so if we draw a segment, if we join the points NB and join the points NA, they're going to be the same, they're going to be equal. This means N is at an equal distance from the point B and from the point A. Again, so if we join this point with this point and this point with this point, so what are we going to have? We're going to say that N is equidistant, which means at an equal distance from B and from A, that are the extremities of the segment A, B. Now, D is an axis of symmetry. If we look at the line D, line D is an axis of symmetry. What does this mean? It's kind of a mirror. If you look from this side and this side, they look the same. Okay, so D is kind of a mirror. We call it an axis of symmetry. So the line D is an axis of symmetry. So it's like a mirror reflecting both images. So if you can see, this image is similar to this image, so D is an axis of symmetry. So let's remember that every point on the perpendicular bisector of a segment is equidistant from the extremities. So any point we put it over here on the perpendicular bisector of the segment is equidistant, is at an equal distance from A and from B. So if you put over here the point P, P is at an equal distance from A and from B. What do you mean by extremities? Extremities means the end. And we should always remember that the perpendicular bisector of a segment is an axis of symmetry. What do you mean by axis of symmetry? It's kind of a mirror reflecting this side and this side. Okay? Words to remember. In this lesson, you should know that extremities means the endpoints. You should also remember that equidistant means at an equal distance. You should also remember that a right angle measures 90 degrees, and you should remember that an axis of symmetry of a segment, it's a line passing through a shape so that each side is a mirror of image.